Hi, welcome back to our channel. I'm Cindy Casita, and I'm going to talk to you today about our toolbox. Now, it's not a real toolbox, but it's our business toolbox. Now, I talked about earlier our filing cabinet of knowledge, our great drawer, and our we're never doing that again drawer, but this is our toolbox, and these are things that we have in our arsenal to help us do our business. The first thing I want to talk about, and I got several things in here, but is this Bosch room measurer. Now, when you go into a listing and they say this room is 17 by 15, and everybody goes, there's no way, that's too tiny, they're telling a story. No, it's a lie. Well, you can pull out your little handy dandy measurer and you just shoot it both ways. They go, yep, they're right, that's what it is. Or, a garage. That's just when it really came in handy. They had an oversized car and they knew exactly the length that they needed to be able to pull the car in and pull the door down. So we had the door down, I measured it, and it didn't fit. They had put some mechanical stuff at the very front of the garage, so the garage was like 19.2. Well, they needed all 20 feet of it for the truck to fit in there. So it was a big deal to them. They had to decide, is this house perfect for us, or do we need to, keep looking for the perfect house that our car can fit in. Same thing with carports. When you have a condo, check that carport, check the height. I use this also to check the height to make sure their big old oversized Mac Daddy truck will fit in that carport because it has little overhangs on it, support beams. So you want to make sure they fit under that, and that was a big deal to a customer. They couldn't buy it because they had to park their car out in our hot summer. They couldn't buy it. So it is important. So it's a good tool. Or you can pull out this old guy and have someone hold it for you if you want to. But this, for the price, I think it's between $20 and $30, was absolutely a game changer for me in my business. Okay, next we're going to talk about lock boxes. Now, there are different types of lock boxes depending on the type of country you're in or where you are. We have these Supras, which are electronic with our phone. We pull up the app and it opens the lockbox for us, gives us the key, you close it back when you leave. Or you can do a coded one, which is like four numbers on a dial, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you open it up, take the key out. Now, as a professional, I have found that the Supra or the electronic lockbox is the way to go, only because as a listing agent, I know that there are a lot of bad agents out there that will, especially if it's a vacant home, give the code out to the buyers and say, after work, swing by and look at this house and see if it works for you. The lazy agent way. And I don't want people in the houses, in our listings, that are not represented or escorted by a licensed agent. So with the electronic one, they have to have the app, they have to have the system to be able to open it up, and the nice thing is that it sends me an email when someone has opened this lockbox, so that I've had it at times where someone went in, they left doors open, or they left a lot of lights on, or they did something that they shouldn't have done, and I can go back and find out who the last person in that house was, and kind of give them a friendly reminder that be sure and lock all the windows and doors when you leave. It's just a courtesy to the seller, and they were worried, especially if it's a vacant home and the people are snowbirds, or they're only here half a year, whatever. It's just a courtesy to make sure you've locked all the windows and doors. And I got these little handy dandy things to go on the doorknob because a lot of our luxury listings have really nice doors, and I don't want to mess up anything, so I can hang this on the door to protect it. The next thing I really had to have was a printer. Now, you don't have to have the Mac Daddy of all printers. I have tried it with a black and white, and I didn't like how that looked when I gave them a packet of information. I liked having the color, especially if we're looking at 8, 9, 10 different properties. I like to print a couple of the pictures from the property just so I can attach it to it. So when we get back in the car and they go, what was that house that had the really wide porch that overlooked the pond? You're like, holy moly, I don't remember. But you got your picture, so you can look back real quick and tell them, oh yeah, that was the one that was on 123 Main Street. And they go, oh yeah, we loved that one. And I said, that's great. So let's mark that one as important. All right, so I have a black and white and I have a color. We have found a new one that's an Epson, and it's a Eco Tank, which is like ink cartridges versus being a toner type thing. And it seems to be more economical to print than the color of the Brother printer. The Brother printer has got 4 separate cartridges, but a black cartridge, I think it's like now $48, and so it's pretty expensive to replace the black in there. So I like the Eco Tank on the Epson, but the Brother one works just fine. So either one works, but you do need a printer at home. Now you can use the printer at the office, but if you have time to run up there, use their printer and run back home again, time is money. So, the $30-40 you have to pay to get the printer, I'd pay that money to get the printer. A small purse or briefcase. Now this is for the women in the business. Now I had a purse that had everything in it, the kitchen sink. I had a first aid kit. I had, if you had indigestion, I had jump ropes. I had everything in that thing. And it is too heavy to carry around. So my mom, who was in real estate, gave me this great purse, and I could put my phone in the front of it, and then I would have my, pens. You gotta have pens in there, and just a couple of items. That way you can put it across your arms, and because you never know where a lockbox is gonna be. Believe me, I've been in bushes, I've been on stairwells, I've been everywhere looking for lockboxes, and this is just convenient to be able to put it around you. You've got your folder, and you can show property easily. So don't feel like you have to take a giant purse with you everywhere. It just gets to be too much, because if you ever drop your folder, drop your purse, it's just such a mess, and you just feel, it kind of discombobulates you. And that's a southern term for it, just messes you up. So I would go with something smaller, or even a briefcase that you could put everything in, put it over your shoulders so that your hands are free, because these lockboxes take 2 hands to work. And trying to figure out how the key works and all that. You just got too much stuff in your hands. It's just too much. So the next thing, of course, is your phone. And be sure and put it on silent, mute, whatever it is. You don't want to be taking phone calls while you're out with customers. It's nothing like making them feel not so important. I mean, unless it's family calling and they have a special ringtone that comes through even if I have it on silent. So I know that if they're calling me, somebody's in the hospital and I need to take this call. So be sure and silence your phone. Don't be checking text messages, Facebook, Instagram, whatever you're doing. Make your people feel special, and put your phone away when you're not using it to open your lockbox. And they got the door protectors, a spiral notebook. Now this is my lifesaver, and I started using a spiral notebook when I was pregnant with my daughter and I was a travel agent. And this is back 40 several years ago. I keep my little notebook with me, and every customer that calls me gets a page, or I talk to them, I make notes about it. If they're coming in town, I make little notes on it, and I've always got this with me in case I need a piece of paper and a pen. And that way it fits in my purse, or it fits in my briefcase, and this is just kind of my safety net. For if someone asks me to do something, I'll be sure and write it down, and when I go home at night, I check my notebook, make sure I've done everything that I have promised I would do. Because sometimes you get phone calls, they go, can you send me sheets about 2-bedroom, 2-bath condos on the beach in Madeira Beach? And you're busy, you go, sure, I'll be glad to. Well, you get home and go, oh, who was that called me? Oh, and what did he want? 2 bedrooms or did he want 3 bedrooms? Was it 500,000? Was it $1 million? I can't remember. Make notes. Just put it in your notebook, put it in your purse, and that way at night when you check it, when you go get home, you'll know that you've got everything covered, and you've given all your promises, that you've gotten everything done in there. A calendar. Now I use the old book kind of calendar, school teacher kind of calendar. I like seeing my whole month at one time. Some people like electronic. My husband is very electronic, and that's great. We do that for our family. But for me and my business, I like to be able to lay my calendar out, and they say, I'm coming the 3rd week in May on Saturday. Are you free? And that way I don't have to scroll and look, and I can just open it up and go, yep, I'm free. I'd be great. What day were you planning on coming in, and what day can you give me some time so we can go and explore the beaches? And that way I can safely say, without having to go back to them and go, oh, I forgot I do have an appointment on that day or whatever. So that way you're a little more professional when they call and want to make an appointment with you. All right, the other things in our arsenal that we need a couple, at least two, good lenders. Now, lenders are important, and they are wonderful people when you're learning how to do real estate to get information about how to do VA loans, FHA loans, what's it look like, when we go to make payments, when we get, they have to have a down payment, if it's coming from 401ks or is it coming from stock, what does that look like? How long do we need to allow for that money to be liquidated so we can have it for closing? And before I write an offer, have them talk to a lender, because I need to know. He'll say, it's a really complicated loan, so I don't need a little extra time. I don't need those 45 days. So that you can put in your contract, I need 45 days due to the lender. You want a lender that will talk to your agent of the listing, because they will confirm that these guys are really good guys and they can afford to buy this property. So you want a lender that speaks English, you can understand what they're saying, talking about, and they explain things well to your customer. You want them to be available to your customer when they call. You don't want to take 3 days for them to get a call back from the lender. My lender is wonderful, the two I work with. I love them, and I kind of give them a heads up. I give them lots of referrals. They reach out right away to my customers and copy me on the email so that I know that they have reached out to them, and then often they go running. So get very good lenders. Next is your title company. When you're doing listings especially, the seller generally picks the title company, and you can give your seller a couple of good title companies to work with. Same thing as a lender. You want them to be able to answer the phone. You want them to be able to talk through the process easily with them. Look at the property and see, is it a trust? Is it an LLC? What do we need at closing to make this close? So that it gives the sellers plenty of time to get their paperwork together, or what they need is their death certificate, all this kind of stuff. There's a lot of moving parts, so you want to make sure that you have an expert that will teach them what they need to do so we can get this thing closed. You don't want at the last minute go, oh yeah, we do need a copy of those trust documents, and they need the originals and they can't find them, and because they've packed up their house because they're moving. So these are things they need to know, that they need to kind of pull this paperwork out but while they're packing, and not pack it away. Inspectors are so important, and they're so vital to the transaction. You want to give them a couple of inspectors. You don't want to favor one or the other, but have two good ones. Interview these inspectors. You don't want the inspector that a screw missing from the panel box and a leak under the sink and a drain pipe on the back gutter all have the same the same depth of importance. You want them to be able to rate the issues so that that's a handyman fix, or that's something we really need to look at and get an expert in here to look at, because you don't want a screw off the panel box and a roof leak to be labeled as the same kind of thing, because it just scares people to death. You want an inspector that will explain to the people, not just wait till my report comes out and you'll see, because those reports they'll scare me. And I like to be at the inspection. I want to hear what they're saying, that it's not a life and death thing, it's just a screw missing. And give me a screwdriver or a screw and I'll screw it in if I have to. Not really, but have them that they don't blow up the transaction. I have seen them blow up transactions over nothing. And it's sad, because these people are so excited about their home, and here someone comes in, flexing their knowledge, supposedly, and ruin a transaction. So be mindful of who you suggest as an inspector. Handyman. I love a good handyman, and I have so many buyers that are part-time, and I have a wonderful handyman that the people, when they're here, will have a few things they need to, I need this shelf hung up, or this door scraping, or this doorknob's falling off, or whatever, just small stuff. And they'll leave a honey-do list on the counter. They'll give the handyman a call and let him know, we're leaving town, we'll be gone for about 5 months. Can you get those things done for me? And that means so much to them when they walk back in the door and everything is all fixed for them and they don't have to deal with those items anymore. So a handyman is wonderful, especially if you just need advice on something that looks bad and you'll go, no, that's a 10-minute fix. You're like, thank Jesus. And so off you go. So handyman's important. contractor, they'll all say, well, how much is it to fix a bathroom, and how much is it to redo this kitchen, and that kind of stuff. You don't want to quote numbers. I can tell you what it costs to replace my small bathroom, but this bathroom's a little bigger. So let's talk to a contractor and see what he says will be. And you can send him pictures. They'll go, yeah, that's about $10,000, $15,000. Just so in their mind they know it's not a $50,000 fix, it's a $10,000 fix. So you just kind of want to, help them see the big picture for it. AC guy, plumber, both of those. Good contractors, you want them to it's great if you've used them before, because they'll show up and be on time, and that they are not gouging your customers, and that it makes you look bad if they're bad. And so you want to make sure you get a couple of good plumbers, a couple of good AC guys. Down here, windows and doors are important, and we have a lot of weather that deteriorates windows and doors, and so you want to be sure you have a really good window and door person for them. A good roofer. Oh, the roofers are important because insurance is based on the age of a roof. So you really want a good roofer, not these guys that come knocking on your door and, hey, lady, I want to fix your roof. Don't do those guys. Or the big corporate ones that charge 10 times what really needs to be charged for a roof. So don't do that. And screen repair. We have a lot of screens on our porches. A lot of weather gets into them, and so a lot of screen repairs for over the pool cages and that kind of stuff. And last but not least is if you feel like you need a new car. No, you don't need a new car. You need a clean car. You need a car with 4 doors. Since COVID, I haven't had as many people ride with me as I've had before COVID. They generally will rent a car, which I like when they rent a car and drive up and down and kind of look at the area before I pick them up or I get with them. Or, and then, you meet them at a property. But that time between picking them up at the hotel and going to the property, you could talk about restaurants, you could talk about the area, you could talk about all kind of fun things just to get them excited about moving to the area. You kind of miss that. And it's hard to get that connection when you're just opening the door for them, they're talking, and you're going back to the next one again. So if you can put them in your car, that's great. I have found 4 doors works better than 2 doors. When we were looking for a new car, we went to CarMax, and our salesman was 6'4". And so what I did is I put him in several different cars to see which ones were more comfortable for him to be in the back seat. And then we picked out our car. I didn't buy it there, but we found us a good deal somewhere else. So, have a good, clean car so that you can have a little cooler in the back, in the trunk, or in the back hatch. So in case you get thirsty during the day, that you can give them a little refreshment. You don't want to show them to their dead in the road, because sometimes we get to talking and going, and we haven't given them a break. So a new car is not necessary, but a clean 4-door car is necessary. So just keep that in mind. So I hope this has helped you with our little toolbox of knowledge, and thank you so much for watching. Thank you for watching. If you're looking to be a better agent, or you're a new agent getting into the business, you might want to look at a couple of these new videos that we have that will help you on that process. I want to thank you for watching. If you liked what we're saying, please like and subscribe. Look forward to talking to you again.